Hi, everybody. It's Jay, and I am back in the booth with you for another sneak peek video preview for this week's new release here on Say with Jay. This week's new release is There I Find Trust. It's the 5th book in Jessie Gussman's Strawberry Sands Beach Sweet Romance series. And I'm really excited to tell you about the book, and we're going to have a live preview reading for you in just a bit. But first, as you well know by now, Jessie has been including dishes within the course of these stories, and I've been making them for you here. And we're going to do that again today in a segment we like to call Cooking with Jay. Now, if you've been reading this series or listening to it at all, you know that there is a guy, the cook at the diner in Strawberry Sands, named Griff. Griff Deant has, besides being a kind of a mysterious character himself, he's been making dishes to help drum up business for the diner, and most of them have been strawberry-themed, desserts and whatnot, but not all. And this week, we're cooking one of those that's not strawberry-themed. Now, I won't go into the circumstances of the dish and the recipe, so as not to spoil anything. But today we're going to be making Griff's chicken corn chowder. It's a really good, really simple, really quick meal, especially if you use a pre-cooked chicken, like rotisserie chicken. You can have it on the table in 15 minutes. Even if you don't use cooked chicken, like I'm going to do today, it still is probably less than half an hour. But without any further ado, let's get started making Griff's chicken corn chowder. Okay, so let's look at our ingredients. And as always, don't worry about trying to capture this in real time or the directions, because they're both going to be in the description of this video down below. All right, to make Griff's chicken corn chowder, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of butter, a 1/4 cup of chopped onion, and a 1/4 cup of chopped celery, 1 jalapeno pepper, seeded and chopped. And I'll note that this is optional. If you don't like any spice at all to your corn chowder, you can absolutely leave this out. You need 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. You're going to need 3 cups of 2% low-fat milk. And you're going to need 2 cups of chopped, cooked, boneless, skinless chicken breasts, or white meat chicken of whatever kind you prefer. If you're going with chicken that you have to cook, 2 medium-sized boneless, skinless chicken breasts will give you roughly 2 cups. You're going to need 1.5 cups of fresh or frozen corn kernels. You're going to need a 14-ounce can of cream-style corn. For spices, we're going to need either 1 teaspoon of chopped fresh thyme or a 1/4 teaspoon of dried thyme. And you'll need a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. And finally, 1/8 teaspoon of salt. And by the way, you certainly don't have to use pink Himalayan salt. I got this on sale. But I did do my research, and scientists agree that pink Himalayan salt is best at being pink. That's really it. So whatever kind of salt you got is fine. So my first step here, since I'm using uncooked chicken, is to cook it. I just cut up the chicken into small pieces, added some seasoned salt and pepper, and then cooked that in a frying pan with just about a tablespoon of vegetable oil. Now, to assemble the chowder, you're going to need to melt your butter in a large Dutch oven over medium heat. Once that butter is melted, you want to add your onion, your celery, and your jalapeno, and cook that for 3 minutes or until tender, stirring frequently. Next, add your flour and cook for 1 minute, stirring constantly. Next, stir in the milk and the remaining ingredients. Then, bring it to a boil and cook until thick, about 5 minutes. That's really all there is to the cooking, although I would suggest setting it off the heat for a few minutes. When you do, it'll really start to thicken up. Here it is, ready to serve. I'm going to have mine with a couple of cornbread muffins, but you serve it with whatever side dishes you'd like. There you go, folks. I hope you will give this recipe a try, and if you do, please let us know how it goes down in the comments. All right, let's talk a little bit about There I Find Trust. There I Find Trust is the story of Griff Deant. Griff is a fairly mysterious character in his own right. He rides into Strawberry Sands on his motorcycle one day in the whole biker getup, bald head, earrings, tattoos, and walks into the local diner and asks for a job. It's the story also of Charlotte, Chai to her friends. Chai is the owner of the diner there in Strawberry Sands. And Chai has caught the eye of a big city lawyer who everybody but Chai apparently, and especially Griff, can tell is not everything he seems to be. Griff, who secretly harbors a lot of strong feelings for Chai, wants to keep her from making what could be the worst mistake of her life. Can he? Well, you know you're going to have to come back this Friday to find out. But for now, here is a live preview reading of the opening scene of There I Find Trust. I hope you like it, and then come back for the full release this Friday here on Say with Jay. Congratulations on your new property. Michael Flanagan shook Griff Deant's hand. I don't understand why you want to live up there in the middle of nowhere, but I'm happy for you, man. You deserve a little peace. Griff grinned like he was supposed to and said some words of appreciation to his longtime friend and buddy. They'd grown up together, Michael and he, although Griff had taken a few detours before he'd gotten to where Michael had gone straight as an arrow. After he'd gotten there, Griff had realized that the white-collar life wasn't for him. That didn't keep him from working hard, and most people would say he had gotten lucky. He would have said that God smiled on him. Regardless, he'd gotten himself out of the rat race as quickly as he could, although he hadn't planned on settling down in Strawberry Sands.
I've never owned a beach house before, so it's a first.
I think that's the thing with successful lawyers in Chicago. We all have beach houses.
Well, I'm no longer a successful lawyer in Chicago, so maybe I'm a little late to the party, but I got here.
Being late to the party seems to be the story of your life. I've never seen anyone take so much garbage and turn it into gold the way you have. Usually drug addiction sinks a man faster than a stone. Michael shook his head, slapped Griff on the back, and they exited the big conference room together. It wasn't like they needed all that area. There had been stacks and reams of paper to sign, but it had only been Flanagan and himself in the room. What would Chai say? He found himself asking that question in his mind over and over again since he started working at her diner several years ago. He didn't know why, since Chai didn't seem to give a flip what he thought, even though he couldn't seem to get her out of his mind. It was the first time in his life where he truly understood the meaning of unrequited love. Unfortunately, most of the town of Strawberry Sands knew exactly how he felt. Even worse, they knew exactly how Chai felt. At least it was a small town. "How about lunch?" Michael said as they walked to the reception area together.
"I'll pass. I've got a couple-hour drive up to Strawberry Sands yet, and now that I have a key to my property, I think I'd like to get settled in. We've got that winter storm coming."
Michael slapped him on the back once more, understanding that it wasn't a personal thing for him to turn the dinner invitation down. Griff had always done better by himself anyway. Because of the things he'd experienced, he just wasn't like everyone else. Strawberry Sands suited him better than Chicago. Maybe even being a short-order cook matched his personality better than being a corporate lawyer. None of it was very satisfying, possibly because there was still something in his soul that just wasn't filled. Not that Jesus wasn't enough. He was. There was just a disquiet he couldn't seem to shake. Maybe that was the way everyone felt, and no one ever talked about it. He considered that on his way north toward his new hometown. He'd been living in an apartment over the diner since he arrived in Strawberry Sands, and he was content there. But it wasn't every day that a man had the opportunity to purchase a beach house a 10-minute walk from where he worked. The only thing that kept Griff from jumping on it to begin with was the fact that he didn't want to purchase it alone. He wanted Chai beside him, and if she didn't like it, they'd look until they found one that she did. The one he just purchased was a little pretentious, definitely bigger than he would ever need as a single man, but he could dream. Maybe it would be filled up with children at some point. And a wife. He definitely wanted a wife. Although not just anyone. Maybe some men could go around and find any pretty face that would do, but he wasn't really interested in pretty faces. He could only seem to get himself interested in Chai. Of course, the second property he just bought held a lot more hope that Chai would be excited about it. In fact, he could barely wait to tell her about it. Maybe he drove just a little faster than he should have on his way north because of the excitement of that second property. It was much less expensive than the first, much smaller, and not nearly as nice, but it was the one he knew would make Chai smile. He wasn't sure when it happened, when making Chai smile had become one of his focuses in life. Perhaps the main focus, other than making food for the diner. Especially the strawberry recipes. Of course, the bottom line with that was making Chai smile as well. After all, if his strawberry recipes brought people into the diner, that definitely made Chai happy. It was almost too cold for him to ride his bike, but the leather kept most of the chill out as he pulled off the interstate and took a 2-lane toward the beach. He hadn't told Chai what he was doing, just that he would be late for work this morning. He was never late, and he never missed. This was only the second time in the years that he'd been working for her that he hadn't been there if the diner was open. Even the snow didn't keep him away, considering his apartment was just above the diner. As he motored into town, he noticed there seemed to be more people than usual at the diner. That wasn't necessarily a good thing. Hi, this is Jay, and thanks for listening. If you're ready for another great audiobook, here's one we think you might like. Or check out the playlist with all our latest releases. Don't forget to subscribe to Say with Jay, give this video a thumbs up, and tell us what you liked in the comments.